we have a curve traversed by a point in which we express each point on a curve. We express this in terms of the vector r. And r is given by, of course, this is x, y. This is just the position vector. If there's a z component, then that would be x, y, and z. Okay. Now, um, I think I have, since this curve is changing, I mean, this point is, yeah, it's changing position at with time. That means that our x is a function of time, and as well as our y is our function of time. Okay, if we have z, then z is also a function of time. Okay, this implies that we now have r as a function of time. The vector r changes. So how do we make sense of this? Well, this specific point right here is at specific time. Okay, we can think of this as, okay, I'll just erase this one right here. We can think of this as maybe r of some t, let's say t1, and here, right here is r of some t naught. Okay, so at some other times right here you have r of t2 and so on. Okay, so this parameterization of the curve r, this is the parameterization of this curve such that at every point in the curve you have we actually run a position vector. We express each point on the curve as a vector. Okay? As a vector. So that's why we have this one. So since x is changing, then we have this one, like, for example, okay, this vector right here. It goes from R1. We can just say that this is R1. Just label this as R1 and label this as R2. So R2 is R of T2. Now we know that R1 plus whatever this vector is R2, right? Based on the vector addition, the illustration of the vector addition. Okay? So this plus this equals this. So sabtan ninyo this is very, sa vector addition. Okay? That's why I've told you that you should have watched the videos that my previous videos. Okay? So, meaning that this vector now, since this plus this is this, so this vector right here is just R2 minus R1. So we can call this vector right here as delta R. Okay? Delta R, which is now equal to R2 minus R1. And in fact, that would be X2 minus X1 if this is given by X1, Y1, and this is given by X2, Y2. Okay, where X1 is X of T1, X2 is X of T2, and so on. So, as you can see, that is just can also be expressed as delta X, delta Y, right? Okay, X2 minus X1 paired with Y2 minus Y1. That would be delta R. And notice that we go back now to the curve. In fact, in our calculus, it was actually about the curve, any curve, right? About a curve in R2. Okay. For R2 we have a curve. For R3 actually we will be having a surface, but there are also curves in R3. Okay. So what happens now if I'm going to the same thing that we have done, I'll take the limit. Okay? So that means, okay, by the way, there are changes. Let's interpret delta x over delta t. Delta x over delta t is how much you have traveled. And not only how much, since x is a vector itself, okay? Well, it's a component of a vector, but let's just focus on one-dimensional space. Then x itself is a vector, right? So its sign will denote direction, either to the right or to the left. Now delta x will tell you how far you have traveled and to which direction, right? Either from a point relative to a starting point. If this is negative, or if this is positive, if delta x is positive, then you have traveled some distance delta x away towards the right. Okay? Relative to the starting, whatever the starting point is. And if it's negative, then meaning you have traveled to the left. So, it will make sense, since position is changing, then it makes sense now to measure how the rate of this change. Okay? Because space is measurable, and as well time is measurable. So, how much of this position is changing per time? Is it changing at a fixed rate, meaning that every second is it changing, let's say 10 meters in every second? First second is you have at 0, and then the next one you are at 10 meters, and then the next second at 2 seconds you are at 20 meters. So it's fixed, right? If it goes that way, or maybe it's something else. Maybe starts at 0, then it becomes 10 at 1 second, and then it becomes 15 at 2 seconds. So that would mean the next 15 minus 10, that would just be 5. The first one is, the difference is 10. So as you can see, the rate now is slowed down, and that rate is actually what we call the change in rate is what we call the velocity. Okay? Or yeah, if you take it in an interval of time, then that would be the average velocity. Okay? Because we have taken it in a given interval of time. The average velocity. Why is it average? Because maybe, okay, this is your measurement. It starts here, and then after some time, dire, and after some time, right there. Okay? And, okay, I'll just, this is t, and this would be x. Okay? At t equals 0, then let's just say, take this to be at 0. Okay? And then, at t equals 1, let's just put this at maybe 5. And then at t equals 2, it's 3. At t equals 3, it's 7. At t equals 4, it's 15. Let's say this. What have you noticed? X is initially increasing, and then it decreases, and then it decreases again, and then it increases. Now, this measurement delta t is, suppose that we look into the system. This is our observation right here. Meaning that, okay, let's say we recorded all of this, but then we did not look we did not look on the snapshot of t equals 1 and 2. We only look at 0 and 3. Okay? I'll just change this to be, I'll just use 9 for it to be easy to divide. Okay? So, as you can see, from here, we're going to deduce that for 3 seconds, it has traveled 9 meters, right? 9 units, because we start at 0. So that delta x over delta t, that would be 9 over 3, and that would be 3. You would say that, that means that every second it has traveled 3 units. But then, we know that that is not true. Okay? what we thought is this. It's 0, 3, 6, and then 9. The problem is, what really happened is that it moved faster. Actually, in the first second, it moved at 5 units. And then, it moved towards the left. Meaning, the change is negative. So here, clearly, 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Here, we can see now how a negative change is accounted for. This is a negative rate of change. So instead of going to the right, it went to the left and then right again. And what we thought was that it's just continuously moved. Okay? But we're not entirely wrong. We're not also entirely correct. Because if there's a second particle, suppose this is x1 and this is the first particle and this is the second particle, x prime. The second particle really moves this way. We are right about the second particle. Then the moment we opened, we look at, we took an observation. The moment we took the observation at t equals 3 seconds, we have seen both of them at 9 simultaneously arriving at 9. They left simultaneously at 0 and then they arrive at 9 simultaneously in 3 seconds. But it doesn't mean that they have the same velocities all throughout. Both of these particles, x and x prime, the first and the second, will have the same average velocity at 3 seconds. Okay? We'll have the same average velocity at 3 seconds. But, okay, not since we have these snapshots, record of this, and we didn't look at first. And now when we look for this one, we see now that when we partition time into a smaller bit of pieces, sometimes actually the first particle move further than the second one. And then after that, the second one moves farther to the right than the first one. Right? So meaning, it would make sense if we can subdivide time into much smaller pieces. Okay, into much smaller intervals. From that, we get a much more accurate description of the velocities of the system, how it changes with time. Okay? But for the average velocity, that means that two particles with the same average velocity will arrive at the same point, assuming that you measured it in the same time. No, same ang imuhang windows of measurements. Okay? The initial and the final, they will arrive both at that specific time that you measured. But had you measured before that, then you would see that one particle have moved further than the other. Sabtan ninyo? Naklaro ninyo? Okay, because this is critical in actually analyzing the velocities and how to make sense of its nature, its signs. Okay? So here we have this. Now to capture this, all we have to do is subdivide time smaller. That means that instead of observing right here, we observe a time less than up to okay. We choose to observe it in a much smaller interval, right? And this means now that we are actually taking the limit of this delta x over delta t as t2 approaches t1, or just delta t approaches 0. T2 approaching t1 is just the same as delta t becoming 0. Okay, you understand? Okay, so and this is what we now define as the instantaneous velocity. And this instantaneous velocity is indeed a velocity as a function of time. This is the velocity at any point in time. What is instantaneous? The moment that T2 touches T1, it becomes instantaneous. And see what happens to the direction of the velocity. right here, if you observe these two given points, the direction of the average velocity is going right there. Actually, it has a, for the line, it has a negative slope, right? Medyo pana siya. But as you move this one, this velocity, clearly, this delta r, what's the direction of delta r? The velocity is actually, okay, this is just delta x. We can apply this to both because we can actually say that this is Vx. And since y is also changing, then we can also say that Vy of t is the limit as t2 approaches t1 of delta y over delta t. From here, we now have what we call the limit of delta r over delta t as delta t approaches 0 or t2 approaches t1, no? T2 approaches t1. This is the same as that, no? But here we get a vector. And this vector now is the direction of the velocity. That means that when this is your measuring, this is your window of measurement, okay? Your data points, you measured it here and you measured it there. After some time, this will be you will conclude an average velocity going to that direction. Okay? But then, as you move this one, padulong dito, your average velocity now would be this, delta r, because delta r would dictate the direction of delta r of delta t. By the way, okay, maybe we don't need this anymore. This is what it really is, dr over dt. And dr over dt, meaning that the direction of the dr vector itself, the direction of dr is here. This is the direction of dr. And we know that that must be tangent. dr is tangent to the curve. Therefore, the direction of the instantaneous velocity is tangent to the curve. And it should be. Because that is where you are facing at that moment that you're moving. Tama? For the road. I already explained that to you, no? If you're turning into a curve, at this point right here, where are you facing? There, right? And this direction is tangent to it. And that's dr. The direction dr will dictate the direction. So meaning, this is also the direction of, okay, this is now v of t, the velocity, which is made up of two vectors. This is vx and Vy. And if you have z, you have Vz. Okay? Vx of t and Vy of t. Now, you understand this? Okay? Okay, erase na ako noon di ay. I'll just write it again. Gamiton pa din nato to, no? 0, 1, sa to 0, 5, 3, 2, 9, 3. Okay. 4 and then 15. The other one is 0, 3, 6, 9. Okay, let's say that this is 12. Now, let's measure now the velocities of these two particles. Okay, the velocity v right here. And then this is v prime. Okay? So, at the measurement is, we need 2 points to measure it. So, from here to here, that's 3 minus 0 over 1 minus 0, that's just 3, right? Okay? And this one right here, 3 minus 5, it's negative 2 over 1, that's negative 2. And then 9 minus 3 is 6. Okay? And 3 minus 6 is 1, so this is now positive 6. And right here, that is 3, 3, and 3. It's 3 all throughout. What have you noticed? This is changing velocity, right? And this is a constant velocity. It doesn't change. Now, there needs to be another quantity that will account for the change in this velocity. And that would now be meaning that it makes sense to calculate for delta V over delta T. And we call this now the acceleration, A. How the change of the change. Okay? Because as you can see, the first one is It's changing. How do we account for that change? Well, that's the acceleration. So for example, the acceleration right here is, it's also changing, right? So from here to here, it changes. Negative 2 minus 3, that's negative 2 minus 3, so negative 5. Negative 5, no, negative 5. Negative 2 minus 3, it's negative 5. Divided by 1, so negative 5. So meaning here, asa na ko ibutang acceleration? Diri na acceleration, no? 3, negative 2, and isa to dire? 6. Okay? Okay. So, ang yang acceleration dire is negative 5, right? This is the acceleration. Negative 2 minus ana over 1. And then right here is 6 minus 2 minus negative 2. That's 6 minus negative 2. That is 8. Over 1, so that would be 8. So it has an acceleration of negative. Okay? In fact, much better siguro if diri nato isulat ang acceleration. Negative 5, and then from here to here, it's 8. Now, this is unit length per unit time squared. If your length is in meters, then that means that the unit of velocity is in meters per over second, right? Because this is meters divided by second. So that means that the unit of this is meters per second, or mathematically that would be meters per second squared. Okay? Or length per time squared. So here it's positive. Now we have a negative acceleration right there. What is a negative acceleration? Okay, a negative acceleration, it doesn't necessarily slows down the particle. It depends on the initial velocity where it is being measured upon. For example, right here, a 3 is a positive, and then we have negative 5 is measured starting from 3, right? This is what we call the initial velocity. Okay? So that means if the initial velocity here, if the initial velocity V0, V sub 0, is positive, greater than 0, then, okay, if the initial velocity is positive, then there are two cases right here. If acceleration is positive and acceleration is negative, this one would force our final velocity to be more positive, meaning V is greater than V0. Okay? V is greater than V0. It will increase because it will add up. But if V0 is greater than 0, but A is less than 0, this would cause our V to be less than V0, meaning it is moving towards the left. It will move towards the left. Not towards the left actually, but not necessarily towards the left, but it is decreasing. Okay? The acceleration is going towards the left. Okay? Acceleration is going towards the left. So it is decreasing. The velocity decreases. Now, okay, I'll erase this one now. What if V0 now is less than 0, meaning initially it's moving towards the left? And again, we have two cases, A greater than 0 and A less than 0. A greater than 0, meaning that its acceleration is there. So that means that V is greater than V0. Why? Because much better siguro if why is V greater than V0 here? If A is greater than, it's moving towards a negative. It's okay, much better siguro if we'll use the absolute value for this. Absolute value of the velocity. Acceleration will counter the velocity. It will decrease its negativity. Okay? That here, the absolute value of the velocity, the final velocity is less than the absolute value of the initial velocity. Nakuha? It will decrease its magnitude because it's opposing it. While this one, it becomes more negative. It increases in negativity. So that means that the velocity, final velocity, will be the magnitude only. Okay, greater than the, okay? So this is now the accelerate. Actually, you can predict the final velocity, whether it's greater than the initial, by the signs of the, comparing the signs of the initial velocity with the acceleration. Okay? So if they are of opposite signs, you will be expecting a decreased magnitude of the final velocity. Nakuha? Okay. So that's it. Now, as we move towards right here, pabalik ta dito. Okay. Okay, first let's understand the average velocity vector as a vector. There could be two particles moving in this curve. I mean, right here, from point 1 to point 2. The first particle is moving through the arc, through the curve, and the other one is moving through this straight line right here. Which one traveled the greater distance? The arc, of course, right? Because this is the straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. So this has traveled. But then they arrive simultaneously at the same time. But do they have the same average velocity as a vector? No, yes, they have the same average velocity. Because that's just delta R over delta T. That's just, where's the average velocity? This one, delta R over delta T. You measured in the same delta T. So they have the same average velocity, but they don't have the same average speed. Because the first one has covered a larger distance. This one has covered a smaller distance. So this one divided by the same amount of time, this one will have to, that's why it has, this particle has to move faster to cope up to, in order for them to be simultaneously reach this point. Nakuha? So in general, we have now that the magnitude of the velocity is less than or equal to the speed. Okay? It only is the same with the speed. Okay? If they traveled in a straight line. Okay? Both, if we are referring to the straight line as a path. Okay? But then eventually, pwede gani nga dili, because in fact, even in a straight line, it may not coincide because you may move like this. Right? So, the one who traveled straight lang dire, whether uniform velocity or not, and the one gaani dire is different gap on distance covered, right? Because the distance, for example, what is the distance traveled by the first particle? What is the distance traveled? That is 0.5, and then it moved by 2, right? Absolute value. So 2. So 5 plus 2, 7. Okay? And then 3 to 9, that is 6. 7 plus 6, that would be 13. 13 plus 15, 28. Right? It has covered 28 units. Tama? Whereas this one right here has just traveled 12. Okay? Sakto ba? Oh. So, this one right here has traveled at sakto ba 28 yun? Yeah. It's because ay pila? Times klaro na to 5 plus 2, that would be 7. And then 3 to 9 pila man? 6, di ba? So 7 plus 6 is 13. Okay? So 13, 9 to 15 pila? Ha? 6. Okay. So 13 plus 6, this has traveled 19 units. Okay, and this would be 20, 12. Right? What is the average speed for the first particle? That would be 19 divided by 4. This one is 12 divided by 4. This is 3. And 19 divided by 4 is greater than 3. Okay, it's almost 5. Okay? So, nasabtan ninyo? Okay, it's very, it's just illustrative. Okay? Now, balik pag-abot nato diri again, you now understand it becomes tangential. Notice again the acceleration right here. This is a constant, not constant acceleration. Yeah, it's constant acceleration because it's 0. 0 is a constant, but 0 is different because meaning it's no acceleration. It's non-accelerating. Okay? Whereas the acceleration of 1 is accelerating. Okay? An acceleration of 1 is increasing its speed. For example, what's an acceleration of 1? You have speed of 5, and then it becomes 6, and then it becomes 7, right? The speed every second. So that is now an acceleration of pila. 1, 1, 1. No? Because 6 minus 5 was 1. Over, let's say, it happened within 1 second, so 1, 1, and 1. So it's a constant accelerated motion. This is what a constant accelerated motion would look like. Okay, to be, let's just plot this one. Time, 0, 1, this is t right here, and this is x. So this is 0, and then let's say it has moved by 5, and then from 2, it moves to 11, and then at 3 seconds, it has moved to 18. At 4 seconds, it has moved to 24. Notice the change. This minus this is 5. Right? And this minus this is 6. This minus this is 7. And this minus this is 16, then not 26. Is this minus that is 8. But what's the change of the change? 6 minus 5 is 1. 7 minus 6 is 1. This is velocity. This is acceleration. 8 minus is 1, right? So as you can see, the acceleration is constant. This is constantly accelerated motion. Meaning that it's like this is an arithmetic progression. Remember your arithmetic progression? Okay, this is exactly an arithmetic progression. Okay? In what? What is the arithmetic progression? What is in arithmetic progression? The V is in arithmetic progression, right? It increases in a fixed. Whereas this one, it's increasing. It's actually some sort of, it's geometric progression. Okay? Ang X. This one increases linearly. It's a line. The velocity is a line. Right? What is something that increases the same? It's a line, di ba? With this given nga pareho ni siya, make again the same thing, the same distance, you would expect that this and this would be congruent, would be the same. So the velocity is linear, whereas this one is actually what we call quadratic. So for motion, which is constantly accelerated motion, we expect a velocity to be increasing linearly while the position increases or decreases or changes quadratically. This is a quadratic behavior. Okay? Nasabtan ninyo? Okay, so this is actually easy, right? Now, we go back to our parameterization mismo. I mean, we already know about what's velocity and acceleration. Going back to the example of a curve, an example of a curve is this. And I think we already discussed this last meeting, tama? And we can parameterize this one. Like for example, this is given by f of xy equals constant. this is a curve. Okay? Just like, for example, x squared plus y squared minus 1 equals some constant, right? That constant could be 0. For any constant right here, this will form a curve as long as the solution is not complex. Okay? Sabdan. So, okay. So, it's a this is a curve. And we can parameterize this. But when we say parameterization, we are asking for the particle to move through the curve. Okay? Unlike just that seeing the road directly, immediately, all of the road, we trace the road. That's actually parameterization. Tracing the road. Meaning, you can only see what is near, what you can just see in the near, it's what we call the local description of curve. So, while this one is a global description of the curve, a local is something like putting an R right here and parameterizing R in terms of T. Now, how do we parameterize this? Again, if this is the case, previously, we parameterize R as, ganito, T and then square root of 1 minus T squared. Let's just use R to be 1. Right? This is already a parameterization. And this parameterization, well, if we start at 0, if this is at 0, where is the starting point? That's 1, right? So 0, 1, tama? Right? And as T increases, you are moving this way. Okay? And of course, T squared could not be greater than 1. So this is our path. It doesn't even travel. If we start with minus 1, T equals minus 1, asap na magsugod. Dire, right? And it's moving right there. Now, another parameterization of this one is using an angle. I'll use the angle as the parameterization. I'll call this T. T is the angle subtended by the vector R with the x-axis. So meaning I would take this is my x and this is my y. If this is the angle, what is my x? X now is equal to R, which is 1, cosine T, right? And y is equal to sine of T. Well, this is already x of T and this is my y of T. Oh, so what is my R of T? R of T now becomes cosine T I plus sine Tj or cosine T sine T. This is my R vector. Okay? Now, notice that what is the velocities of these two? When you parameterize a curve, the movement, the rate of change of that parameterization, the movement of that point on the curve is dependent on that parameterization. Meaning that this parameterization and this parameterization will produce different velocities or in general speed. Let's just talk about speed here. Will produce the different speed. For example, what is the speed here? The speed is just dr over dt. So that is just t, derivative of that is 1, right? Okay, now this is the derivative of a function. We will use the chain rule for this. Now, I will not be in detail on the derivative of this one, but when we take the derivative of this is just the chain rule. F of u, remember that? Recall f of u, df over dx is equals df over du, du over dx. So, we will, applying that, so kindly, ako na siya in shortcut dire, I will leave to you the details because this is not a calculus class. Okay, so this is just 1/2 times, okay, this is 2 square root of 1 minus t squared. Okay? And then, sa taas kay negative 2. So, negative. So, this is minus t over that. This is the velocity. What's the magnitude? The magnitude, the speed is dr over dt. That's the average, the instantaneous speed. Not the average velocity. This is the velocity, instantaneous velocity. Okay? Now, the instantaneous speed would be the magnitude of this one. So, how do you get the magnitude of vector? X squared plus y squared. Square root. So, this is the x. So, 1 squared plus square of this. So, t over square root of 1 minus t squared. Squared. Square root. That would give me 1 plus t squared over 1 minus t squared. Square root. This is now the speed. Notice that the speed, like we can call this S of t. The speed now is changing depending on where you are in your parameterization, right? Notice that at first, when t equals 0, the speed is just 1 unit. Tama? When t equals, and so on. Nakuha ninyo? So the speed itself depends on where you are, meaning it's accelerating. It could be decelerating or it could be increasing in, it could be accelerating or it could be decelerating. But the thing is that it has acceleration and it's not constant. Okay? Sabtan. Now, how about this one right here? Okay, an example, the speed when t equals 1, what is this? This is just 1 unit per second. Okay? Now, how about this one? What is the... okay, by the way, we will use this notation right now, starting from now on. dr over dt is r dot. Whenever you have the dot, meaning it's just like the prime, only the prime is a differentiation on the coordinates, on the spatial coordinates, on the coordinates. But the dot is a differentiation on the parameter. Okay? Whatever is that parameter. So, meaning that, okay, x dot means that this is dx over dt. Y dot is dx, or f dot is df over dt. Whereas f prime is df over whatever its coordinates are. Nakuha? So, let's label this as r. R dot now is this. What is r dot? The derivative of cosine is negative sine. So, this is negative sine t. And the derivative of sine is cosine t. That means that the magnitude of r dot, okay, is square of this. Sine t square plus cosine t square, square root. But this is sine squared t plus cosine squared. What is this? This is 1. Right? Sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. It doesn't depend, as you can see, r of t, our speed, this is now s of t. Our speed doesn't depend on time. It is fixed. It's not changing in speed. It's changing in velocity because the direction changes, right? Okay? That's why the velocity is a function of time. This is v of t, vector. But then s of t, the speed is not a function of time, just as a magnitude. The magnitude doesn't depend with time. The velocity depends with time, only its direction, because it changes direction every time. Okay? So, kani karon, s of t is 1. Meaning it's a constant velocity. And where does it start? What is the starting point? At t equals 0, cosine of 0 is 1. While sine of 0 is 0. Meaning the start r of 1 is... r of 0, the starting point is 1, 0. It starts right here. And once you start increasing time, it will move through this curve right here. It will trace this and go back, paana dito, such that it moves constantly at 1 unit per second. Nakuha ninyo? That is now, and this is a counterclockwise flow. While this parameterization right here is a clockwise flow. This one. Tama? And it will depend on where you start. Well, of course, this one also will depend on your starting point. You can start at t equals 1. Okay? Sabtan ninyo? Sayo na, di ba? Sabtan ra sa panday, ganangga pamanday. Okay, dili man siya lisod, no? Actually, sayo naman ang math yun. Kung inyohang ko anon. Klaro? Okay. Sharo. Now, the thing is, why do we study parameterization? Because in physics will not, in your mathematics, in calculus, if you study calculus, you will be, this is the focus, this f of xy, the algebraic, the f as a coordinates. But then the physical laws, like Newton's laws, physical laws is actually what we obtain is a parameterized equation. In fact, the differential equations there is in terms of time. That means that the solution ultimately is R of t. This is what we will always be looking for, R of t. This parameterization right here, R of t. Mauni ang center. So, from physics, what we will obtain is the parameterized equation. And actually, from the parameterized equation, we can go back to the equation, algebraic equation. How? Well, it's just easy. We can just use, later, next analyze that how do, for example, what is now the algebraic equation that this one, unsay, given the parametric equations, can we find the algebraic equations of the curve? Pabaliktad na pod. Like example, given this, can we show that this one will lead to this one? Yes. And it's easy. Take x squared plus y squared. And you will see that this satisfies, tanawa, diba? X squared, sine squared plus cosine squared. What is that equal to? 1. So, at always, meaning that this is the case such that x squared plus y squared is always equal to 1. That is the equation of that curve. Okay? So, kana lang siguro, next meeting, we're going now, with next meeting, humanata dire. This is kinematics. The heart of kinematics. The next thing is the deeper question. How do we arrive at this? How do we get this? Okay? That's now where physics will start. As of now, math patatanan. Next meeting, we will start our study, formal study with physics. And that physics will allow us to get this. Okay? So, I hope that's clear.